Now, just over 3 years after predicting that President Buhari would lose the 2019 presidential election, and he ended up winning, the respected Economist Intelligence Unit, the research arm of the Economist magazine, is now reported to be forecasting that the APC's candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will emerge victorious in 2023, while the main opposition PDP's Atiku Abubakar faces the prospect of electoral defeat. So how seriously should we take this prediction? Well, it's a bit difficult to swallow, isn't it, given how much the ability of the APC government has been curtailed by internal weaknesses such as an insurgency, banditry and communal violence, an economy that's far from operating at full capacity and is still largely dependent on oil and its revenue fluctuations, deepening poverty, rising unemployment and inflation, widespread corruption. And given the perception that the government of President Buhari hasn't come very far in moving the country forward beyond these problems, how has the respected Economist Intelligence Unit come to the reported conclusion that the APC will be re-elected? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now from our studios in Lagos by a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Ayo Oyalowo. And with me here in the Abuja studio is the international economist, political and business analyst, and CEO at Business Africa Events Limited, Christian Udechukwu. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. Let me come to you then, Christian. Thank you for joining us. What's your assessment of this latest prediction of a Tinubu victory by the Economist Intelligence Unit, especially when viewed against its failed prediction in 2019 that Atiku would win and its accurate forecast in 2015 that President Buhari would win? Can this latest prediction be relied on? And I have to put a cautionary note before you answer, because there is a question mark still, because the original story has not actually been seen from the Economist Intelligence Unit. What's being seen is what's being reported that the Economist Intelligence Unit said. Having put that cautionary note on, do answer the question.
I think that the most important point to make before any commentary is to really say that there is no evidence of any Economist Intelligence Unit poll on their website. And that for me is the most credible source from which to first of all verify that a story is true and accurate. Secondly, if you do a quick check of the cable news website, which is another carrier, primary principal source of this story, they appear to have taken the story down. Leaving all the other websites that had picked up the story as a secondary source. Therefore, I would first want to point out that there does not seem to be any credibility to the story. That's one. Number two is that it will be quite unusual, I would say, very uncanny, for an outright prediction at this time in Nigeria's political landscape, given that the whistle for the campaign has not even been blown. So you have sample polls, using population samples, and they are indicative of the snapshot of people's public opinion at the time of the polling. And of course, depending on the aggregate profile of the poll participants. So I will not give credibility to the story.
Well, to be fair, I mean, the Economist Intelligence Unit always predicts Nigerian elections. It's done that for several years now, whenever the elections come around. That's number one. Number two, some of the sources that have carried the story, although in fairness it hasn't been identified on their website, but the sources that have carried them are very credible. What I'll do is let's go straight away to Lagos now, because I understand that Mr. Ayo Oyalowo from the APC Presidential Campaign Council can hear me now. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. There's a question mark over the origin of the story and whether or not, in fact, it is confirmed? And if it is, what's your reaction and that of your APC campaign, Presidential Campaign Council, to the prediction that Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win the 2023 presidential election? I expect that's something that you welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Charles. The person in your studio said, we will not give too much credibility to a poll that you are even saying has been pulled down. But that said, beyond the poll, we are already aware that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is just waiting to be sworn in as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria based on so many indices that we have looked at. So we are not just waiting for an international pollster or an economic intelligence unit to tell us what we already knew, because of all the candidates that are parading themselves, we believe that most of them, all of them are pretenders to the throne. We know the contender to the throne, and that is Ahmed Bola Tinubu, the Asiwaju. We believe he has no rival in terms of competence, in terms of capacity, in terms of the intellectual acuity, in terms of antecedents, and all other indices that you will want to bring into the election. And like he told us recently, let's lower the temperature. We will not go around making all the unnecessary noises. We just know that when the umpire blows the whistle, we know exactly what to do, because it is easy to sell a man that you have his antecedent, who you can easily say, look, he's done this before. Like we always say, if you're looking for a job, you present your CV. And what is on your CV are your past achievement on the job that you have done in the past. And I don't think anybody comes close to Bola Ahmed Tinubu in terms of antecedent and the CV that he parades. So we are very much quite confident that our candidate, inshallah, will be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, thanks for setting that out, but your opponents would say that you would say that, wouldn't you? But I mean, let's for 1 minute assess that widely quoted report and what it suggests, because there is a cautionary note for your candidate and the APC attached to that prediction, isn't there? Because the intelligence unit is quoted as giving Bola Tinubu a predicted win, because it says Atiku Abubakar's chances are dwindling as a result of the lingering crisis in his PDP party, as well as the growing popularity of the Labour Party's Peter Obi. So if Peter Obi's popularity continues to grow, and if the crisis in the PDP is sorted out, and there's plenty of time before the election in February for this to happen, then your goose could potentially be cooked, couldn't it?
No, we don't see it that way. I saw that part when I read the report earlier today, and we have always known that PDP, Labour Party, NNPP, they are all from the same stock. So like my people online call them, they are PDP light because they're all the same thing, vying for the same thing. They all came from the same party because they cannot unite each other. And like you saw, and like you also said earlier on, as you were asking me this question, the PDP has self-implode, because these are people who claim they want to rescue Nigeria, but they cannot even rescue their party. They cannot unify themselves. They cannot organize themselves. They cannot even have a common or united front. So clearly we don't have any opponent in this election. And as for Peter Obi and his Labour Party, that is just a small fry in a very big ocean. We don't see that as an issue. His growing popularity is a media creation by you, the media, and so many other media. They made him believe in the past that he has a chance. Of course, he has seen clearly that he's going nowhere. With all his false statistics that he just bandits here and there are not an issue for us. We are not looking at throwing around fake statistics to just scare people. We're not doing a scaremongering campaign. We are telling Nigerians what the issues are and how we are going to fix whatever issues are left undone by the current government. So it's not about scaremongering. It's not about throwing around fake statistics and banding lies. It's about doing what needs to be done. Today, a report just hit the headline about the Siemens transformers that came in from Germany. And in the next couple of days or weeks, people will begin to see the difference in terms of power generation. So things are being done, and we believe that from what this government has done, we will be able to build on the good legacies that they have built, and where they have not done very well, we hope to improve on it. And that is what our candidate has been talking about. We are not interested in people who can manage their home affairs. People who can manage their party affairs cannot clearly manage the country. So PDP is not an issue. And as for Labour Party, like I told you, it's just a small side noise for us. And they will keep fighting for the same vote. And then when they decide to destroy themselves, we profit as we hope to, and then we move on as a party, the APC.
Okay, stay with us, Mr. Oyalowo. I'll come back to you in a minute, but let me turn to Christian Udechukwu, who is here in Abuja. Even if, Christian, this report does seem a bit wobbly in terms of its provenance, I can't imagine that it would make pleasant reading for the other candidates in any case.
Well, Charles, thank you. The first thing is that there's no need to revert to a document that has no real authenticity at this time. However, what is useful is to say, on the general basis and the premise of the logic that supports the argument that has been put forward, which is that the main opposition party is in a bit of disarray with all kinds of internal issues, and that has, derailed their national messaging. The question you then ask is, okay, so there are probably 5 months between now and the election. Is PDP able to get its act together? Can they make peace by tomorrow morning? Can they make peace in a month? Can they make peace in 2 months? And if it takes them that long, what level of momentum would they have? Can it generate any nationwide support? But those are issues that are still up in the air. As for the Labour Party, the videos that have been circulating on social media, show some sort of groundswell of rising awakening, if you like. You see tons of people thronging streets all across Nigeria. Because one of the fallacy that I see happening in some of the reporting is the slanting of the perception of the following of Labour Party as exclusive to the Southeast. There can be no greater falsity in reporting. I think it is deceptive for any political party or any analyst or independent observer narrowing down the following and the support of the Labour Party to the Southeast. It is nationwide. And I don't say that from the studios of Arise. I say that primarily because there's evidence on the internet, videos of hundreds of thousands of people marching through the streets, carrying Labour banners. And the election has not even begun. So, I think that if you also pay attention to the commentary from leading political parties attacking the Labour Party, you can tell from the evidence of the comments that they're making that they're actually beginning to take the Labour Party a lot more seriously than they did in the beginning. Now, APC obviously being the leading party in the country, the ruling party, the election is theirs to lose or win. Are they winning? Are they losing? Well, the evidence is out there because there's a lot of time, as I say, 5 months between now and the election, but there are some big issues that they still have not addressed and need to address. This long lingering ASU strike, where millions of university graduates are at home, and I've been at home for 7 months. I don't think any government that is serious should go to bed with students out of university. And if you look at the economy of Nigeria and how much money we spend on Forex to send our children to countries where citizens used to come from to study in Nigeria, billions of dollars are spent every year paying overseas tuition for students who will study for less than a fifth of that sum in Nigeria and do very well. If our doctors and our nurses trained in Nigeria are recruited in Canada, USA, and the entire European Union and parts of Southeast Asia, why in the world can't the universities of Nigeria be open? Why can't we leverage 200 million population and make them the biggest export Nigeria has?
Okay.
And there's a lot of discontent on the street, not just because the universities are not open, but because the quality of life has been falling very low. In fact, there's no value on life in Nigeria presently. People die every day, and it's like nobody really talks about it or focuses on it. So for the ruling party to have any chance of winning, they have to show that life matters in Nigeria. They have to show that education matters in Nigeria. They have to show that security is important to the people of Nigeria and that it is important to them what the people care about. If they can do that in 5 months, well, then maybe they can rely on the Economist Intelligence Unit poll. But if not, it's up in the air, really.
Right. Okay. Well, the fact is, of course, that we are looking at this in the context of a reported report that emerged from the Economist Intelligence Unit that predicts that the APC presidential candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu will win the election in 2023. But then, of course, there have been other polls, haven't there, Mr. Oyalowo in Lagos? We had the ANAP poll, which gave Peter Obi 21% and put Tinubu and Atiku tied at 13%. So you're quite right in saying that you're not focusing your attention on a poll that you can't 100% verify. But there are certain things that emerge from that reported Economic Intelligence Unit report. Some good news for everyone is that it predicts that with the amendment of the Electoral Act to include the electronic transmission of results, the role of dodgy politicians in influencing the outcome of that election would be greatly diminished. And I'm sure that is something that you would share with anyone else, really, that election would seem to be free and fair at this point.
Yeah, the beauty of election is for it to be fair and fair. You want an election that when you win the election, you are not ashamed of being declared the winner. We remember what happened in 2007 when the beneficiary of the rigging machine of the PDP, then the late President Musa Yar'Adua, had to personally apologize to say that he knows that the system that brought him in was really flawed. So we don't want to do that. So for that, we have to give credit to the APC government led by President Muhammadu Buhari for having the courage to sign that Electoral Act into law. So for us, it is one of the legacies of the APC. However, for this merchant of negative news, talking about insecurity and all the things that they want to hype, the merchant of evil news, they don't like to hear that, yes, there were challenges, but challenges are being confronted. Somebody who was talking about insecurity, yes, there will always be insecurity anywhere in the world. What you should ask is, are there enough being done by the government? Is there the will to handle it? As I speak with you, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, the Nigerian military has been on very serious offensive, especially against the northeast and northwest bandits. And the stories are everywhere, how they are being routed, how they are being destroyed. In fact, just today, or was it today or yesterday, I read that the guy who actually killed Shekau, who is the head of one of the ISWAP, and has just come to the Nigerian military to surrender, which means the fire is too much for him. But you see, this merchant of negative news will never want to talk about this. We will always have challenges. What we must always ask ourselves, in fairness and in truth to our conscience, is that, is there enough being done? When people used to share money that is meant to buy security equipment, that time has gone. So today the equipments are being bought, they are being used judiciously, and our military is winning the war. But these guys are so fixated on the fact that they were insecurity, and they keep making it like they can't leave their homes. But this people are sitting in the studio talking about insecurity. If it was that bad, Abuja in 20 in 2015, you couldn't go to that studio at this time of the night. By 8 o'clock, everybody was in their homes in that same Abuja. So this merchant of negative news will always want to tell us that there are insecurity, as if there are no insecurity in other places. But I say it without fear that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has done all it could within its power to equip the military so that they can handle the insecurity that we were facing so badly in the past. Yes, ASU is an issue, and we all know that a competent court of law has said what ASU is doing is illegal. However, nobody is talking about the fact that what ASU is doing now is illegal because a court has said their strike must be called off. However, this merchant of negative news will still continue to tell us about ASU. So, see, Nigerians will just pick and choose whatever they want to choose, but we hope that the ASU issue will be sorted in the nearest possible future. But my advice to the government will have been, probably we need to rethink our system of tertiary education. Probably the federal government need to completely hands off so that everybody should go and pay for what they can afford. If you can't afford tertiary education, then we don't have to have this unnecessary imbroglio every day. What ASU is doing is inhuman. They have been wasting the life of our young people, and they are being wicked to them, and nobody is calling ASU to order. But unfortunately, we just have to complain and blame the government when we all see that clearly what ASU is doing is illegal, and what they are doing is inhuman to our students. But of course, let's just blame Muhammadu Buhari and other people in government, because that is the easiest thing for us to do.
Well, I have to agree with you on one point there, and that is the fact that there needs to be a new funding system for the universities in this country. What that is going to be will need to be decided. But let me come to you, Christian Udechukwu, for the final word, because we've got about a minute and a half or so left. All the predictions appear to be that this, in any case, is going to be a very close contest. And we know that in those circumstances where the potential margin of victory becomes very narrow indeed, it could actually swing in any direction, couldn't it?
Well, Charles, yes.
And briefly, because we've got about a minute.
Your point is a very valid one, which is that the election can swing in any direction. And that is the point that needs to be made. When people go out on campaign, they are asking Nigerians to recruit them to serve them. And for anybody sitting in a Lagos studio to pretend that there's no problem on the street, instead of addressing the fact that perhaps the leadership and the presidential candidate of the APC will be looking to provide solutions to Nigerians, to tell Nigerians how he's going to solve the problem, which is really what Nigerians want to hear. They don't want to hear name-calling and all that, because anybody who is doing name-calling simply has no solution. If you have a solution, what you do is put it on the table. Tell Nigerians what you're going to do, how you're going to solve the real problems that they face every day. That is what people want to hear. That is what will lead them to cast votes for any party that is able to tell them what they want to hear, for any party that is able to present them with the solutions that they need to make their lives better going forward. That's what Nigeria needs.
Well, in all fairness, the campaign season actually officially begins about 6 days or so from today, and that is when we expect the candidates to put their best foot forward. But I want to say thank you very much indeed, Christian Udechukwu, who is an international economist, a political and business analyst, and CEO at Business Africa Events Limited, and also, of course, the APC, member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Ayo Oyalowo, who was talking to us there from Lagos. Thank you very much indeed to both of you. And you're watching Arise Prime Time. Plenty more still ahead, including a youth mega rally in Abuja this weekend, and it's all about refocusing the energy of Nigeria's young people in the direction of the 2023 election. Stay with us.